Hello and welcome to another episode of The Real Shot to 56. This is Evening Crypto. I am your host, The Real Shot to 56. And tonight, let's talk about some Bitcoin trading. Let's look at the chart. Let's actually look at some altcoins as well. That's pretty much it. We're just doing a quick update for you guys. I do want to get into some alts. I did have somebody requesting some alts, I guess, direction on EOS. Brian Morton asked for that. So, Brian, thanks for communicating. Thanks for staying engaged with us here. We did hear your request, and we're actually going to take a look at EOS. First, let's take a little bit of a little sip of water here to get started. And just a reminder, guys, definitely let me know what you guys want me to look at. If something that you guys are looking to trade or just want my opinion on stuff, I'm not the end all be all, but I'd like to definitely interact with you guys and definitely give you guys my opinion on things, whatever you're trading. Another reminder: follow me on Twitter, The Real Shots 56. I can always respond to you guys there. Let me know if you're following. And I also, every once in a while, I will do sort of these trade alerts, which we'll take a look at both XLM and BT to see how these things are doing. I did find something interesting with those, and I'll let you know what those things are. But let's get started. Let's do a quick recap of the market. We're currently trading at $193 billion and 76 billion for the last 24-hour volume. And dominance is set to 68, although if we look at our Bitcoin dominance chart over here on TradingView, it's set to about 69.83 from the high of, what was this? The high was 70.02. All right, so it ticked downwards a little bit. So people are coming back, I guess, going back to trading a little bit of alts. But actually, let's look at, since we're here, let's actually look at what the sentiment is looking like. We ended the day with, longs getting a little bit shorter, not as, not as confident in longing, not as confident in the price of Bitcoin continuing to go upwards. Still a very, very high amount of open longs, open interest to the long side of things, and we're still with enough open interest on the long side that we're still way above the last, I guess, high in longs for a while. Let's actually take a look here. If we go back in history, I mean, we're still way above the norm, right? We're still way above the norm. People are still thinking that maybe perhaps this was the local bottom at 6,900, and everybody's still thinking that we're going to continue to go up. What about the shorts? Shorts are saying that we are going, actually, shorts recovering a slight bit. I mean, not a big huge recovery. Let's just put sort of a measurement on it, about 27% higher from the lows, but it's only relative, right? I mean, look at how low we've come from recent highs. This just tells me that the sentiment out in the market with traders is that people are still feeling pretty bullish about Bitcoin's price. People still thinking that we have, at least for the time being, we have hit the bottom, and now we are to continue to head upwards, right? So if that's kind of what I'm getting out of this whole thing. Let's actually look at the close of BTC today, BCTD or whatever. There it is. Hang on. GBDC is what I was trying to get to. Close down on the day. That's not a good indicator. Did it get rejected off the 21 to 30 there? So doesn't look like it's not looking pretty good for GBDC. It'll probably open lower down tomorrow, given that the volume, there's very little volume actually in GBDC, and the stochastic trend is to the downside on the 4-hour. Let's actually look at the daily. That'll give us a better idea where the daily chart is actually following the 4-hour to the downside. whether it's going to find some support here on the daily remains to be seen. We're going to have to see where GBTC opens tomorrow morning and see where that leads us to. But let's actually look at the live BTC Bitcoin chart and see where we are at. Let's actually zoom in and bring this guy back down. This kind of flattening out here. So a little bit of sideways trading for sure, it looks like. And again, we're caught within this range here, this high, this resistance level here, this declining or descending line of resistance, and also this declining or descending line of support down here as well. I am using wick to wick just because I want to get the full range of price action there. So let's see, where are we at the current moment? We're right at the 618 within the golden pocket area. We did get pretty much deep into it. I mean, about a third into it, maybe more like almost halfway through into the golden pocket between the 618 and 786. People started buying it out, and that also could speak to the fact that people are still long, is because we did reach this deep. We reached quite deep into the golden pocket, or the golden buying area there, where a lot of people are going to pick up some Bitcoin or whatever asset they're looking at. So it kind of coincides with that. The nice thing is we're still consolidating above this demand zone that I put it in here for you guys quite a while, or about a week or two ago. So we're still consolidating above. So I'm still not getting bearish even on a temporary bear or a short term of things, because we're still consolidating above it, right? If we dip into this box and we start trading sideways, we're still okay technically. So if we lose it though, if we do lose 7150, then at that point we're going to start to get a little bit more bearish. If we end up opening and closing some 4-hour candles below that area 7150, then we're definitely going to probably be heading down to at least these levels here at 6,900. That's at the very least. So there we go. There we have it. What I'd like to see here on a daily, I do want to see. Here's a thing I was kind of paying attention to, is we closed the daily below the 21 EMA here, so that's not a good sign. We opened this next one below it, and so I'm hoping that we can get above the above the 21 here and continue to open and close some daily candles, because this is not a good sign. This is a sign that we're probably going to come back down here and retest this supply area here, or not supply area, but demand area here, where we have found support here for the short term of things, and we don't want to see that break, right? So we definitely want to pay attention to that, because we are underneath the 21 here for the time being. Let's actually look at the 4-hour. And see what we can gather from there. Clear rejection out the 200. I got a little excited once I saw we got above the 200 EMA here. We opened, but then closed right at it, and then we lost it on the very next candle there, and another rejection, and then we just went downhill from there. This candle though did reach into the buying interest zone here. And it's currently trading above, so that is a pretty good sign, but I do want to see a little bit more momentum carrying into it. I've already got my position, so I'm not going to be adding to this until I see whether we're going to go up or down. I'm going to set a tight stop loss here at 7150. If we lose that, I'm going to be all out. So, and what is that? So from where we currently are to 7150, it's only about 1.39%. If it does hit the stop loss, so it's not too bad, right? It's again, it's about managing your risk with that. So and that's again, that's only if you're holding a whole Bitcoin, right? That's not to say if you're not holding a whole Bitcoin, and just it's just do your own math there, but that's what that means, right? So let's see. Yeah. So this is kind of indicative of a reversal. This is a brand new though. This is pretty fresh 4-hour candle. So we're gonna have to see where this one ends. This wick down here and this inverted hammer also are indicative of reversal. So hopefully that is the trend, and we also see the RSI stochastic agreeing with that. trying to get back into the neutral zone. If we do get a flip of the green exponential above the orange here, then the momentum is going to be upward, and we do want to see a little bit of volume get above the exponential here on the volume signal too. If we do that, then you betcha we are going to at least come back and retest at 200 there. If we get a rejection from there, you might want to take some profits if you enter here. It's probably a safe bet again. If you enter here and put your stop loss at 71.50 and just watch the price kind of go up. Do we get above the 200? Quite likely. I mean, it doesn't mean that we're gonna go get right past it and come back and retest. What is it, 7,600? It just means that look at what we've done many times here. Get above the 200 here. Let's actually bring this a little lower so you guys can see it better. Get rid of these guys. There we go. And get rid of that. That's not what I wanted to do. Actually, these guys. All right. So, we clearly got above the 200. Kind of got excited there for a little bit, but then we lost it. Tested it again twice in a row. One more time. Got above it. Lost it. So it's easy to see that if we come back, turn around and retest at 200 here. Easy to tell that we might wick above it, but whether we actually do anything significant after that remains to be seen. Here's another thing I'm looking at for the current time, for the shorter time of things. We're gonna have to bring these back here. So this descending line of resistance, right? And we can kind of also take a look at this and see that there's sort of a triangle forming on the lower time frames, on the shorter end of things. We do see this also kind of formulating here. So this should hold, right? If we get back into the interest zone here, then we should find that support and scale, kind of grind upwards here until we get above, or until we get back into this descending line of resistance. That's kind of what's going on here on a short term. So if you want to enter a little scalp here, that's probably a good area to do it. We already hit it. We already retested this bottom area of ascending support. So I mean, there's a pretty good chance that it might just come back and creep all the way up here to about 7,500 again. And then we'll just watch what it does from there, because again, the 200 will be coming in right alongside the top of this range here. And so if we get above it, start consolidating above it, that's going to be a good sign. But we definitely want to see more than this, I guess. This could have been up to this point here, right before this big red candle here, up to this point here. I mean, that did signal that hammer or hanging man candle here, right where my cursor is at. That is pretty much indicative of a turnaround or a reversal. But I mean, we were consolidating quite a bit above the 200 there. So I mean, that would have given you motivation to get excited and maybe add to your position. But right after that reversal candle, then everything was lost. Although we didn't lose the interest zone or demand area here. So that was a good thing. Even though we did wick below it, we still managed to get above it and actually try to consolidate again above the 200. That's going to be the more on the more immediate side of things on the 4 hour. If we can close and again open and close some significant candles, and again just consolidate sideways here above it for a longer term. All right. Let's actually look at, we're about to close this monthly candle. We just got a new weekly here yesterday. Let's actually look at how things ended last week, and kind of get a picture for how things are looking on the weekly. So definitely not a good sign on the weekly. We're still above this 100 SMA here. Technically we are above it, so not all hope is lost, and it is finding support right above it. But definitely want to see get above the 55 here, above the 21, if we are to kind of switch around and start to get a little bit more bullish on things. We do have, let's see, I have to bring these back. So this guy is supposed to represent a 30 simple. Let me actually play with these settings again. Yeah, it's a 30 simple. I don't know why it's showing. It's kind of looking like a long-term. See, this curvature here is not. I'm gonna have to go back and revise my EMAs, but definitely want to go back and actually get back above the 55, the 89 here, and certainly the 21 to start again switching our time or our mind frame around what the price action is telling us. But right now, it does look like we might get stuck in this range between the 55 and the 89 coming in confluence there, and this and the simple 100 there. Let's actually switch around now. The weekly stochastic is pretty flat, lackluster there. It's not really giving us any real indication as to where we are heading, except for a gradual uptake in price. The green is above the orange here, so as long as we're above it, there's still opportunity to keep going up, I guess. But it's just it's not really confirming anything either way. Let's actually decrease that, and actually let's go into the monthly. We haven't looked at the monthly in a while. We are below the 21. Um, Here's the thing, fat chance, right? But here's the thing: if we were to close above the 21 here, above 7,800 on the monthly, then that's going to be a huge, huge indicator. But that means we would have to switch over from red to green on this monthly candle, and we only have 24 hours left in this. A little bit less than 24 hours from the time of recording of this video for that monthly candle to close. But again, it just looks certain that we are going to close below the 21. Let's actually switch over to our Bitstamp chart to get sort of a better picture on what's going on here, and we actually see that here. Yeah, so there we go. Well, here's the thing. It's actually giving us different readings on the EMAs. I'm going to go with the Bitstamp chart because Bitstamp just has a much longer time history with its Bitcoin chart. So I'm going to go with this one. I'm going to say that this is the correct chart, and this makes a big difference, guys, because we were just as we were talking about the 21 being below the 21 on the Binance chart. I might just have to flip over to the Bitstamp chart altogether and just do my everything from there. But here's what the 21 is actually saying, or Bitstamp is actually telling us, that as long as we're again above the 21, we can remain hopeful that we can find a bounce. Now, here's the other thing. This looks like a hammer candle, right? Hammers are indicative of reversals. We've said that. And being that it is a monthly, this could be indicative again that we are actually starting to turn things around. All right. So tomorrow I'm looking for a close above the 21. You guys might want to jot this down, put it on a sticky note on your keyboard or on your monitor. I am looking for a close above the 21 here, right at we'll just call it what is it, 7,100. All right, so above 7,100, we're still game, we're still good. Not only is it above the 21 area there, the 21 EMA, but again, it's also above the interest area or demand zone over here on our 4-hour chart, right? So as long as we're above 7,100, told you guys to kind of put a stop loss. If you're trading this the way I am. Again, not financial advice, but this is what I'm doing. I'm just sharing what I'm doing. And if you want to do what I'm doing, I would set a stop loss at 7,150. Again, if we lose that area, it's probably indicative that we're going to close, especially in the next 24 hours, that we're going to close below that 21 on the monthly. All right, let's go back to Bitstamp. Let's go back to the monthly and finish what we just started. Okay, so that is, again, that's what we're hoping for. A close above the 21. If we don't, then you betcha we're probably going to come back and retest the 55 here, or somewhere in between here. Obviously, somewhere in between this range here is where we are going to end up, obviously, right? Although on the 55 should provide definite support here around 4,900. Not saying that we're going to go there. Let's just wait and see what the monthly says. All right. Now the RSI on the stochastic is still down. The green exponential is still below the orange exponential here, so there could still be more room to go down into lower prices here. So just keep that in mind, guys. Keep that in mind. Again, we're trading, and it goes. Excuse me. It goes back to this, right? It goes back to what we've been saying in this channel, and we're in a definite downtrend. I look at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 out of the last 7 candles have been in the red since we started this bounce to 13.9, right? So we're in a definite correction stage still. We're still definitely on a bearish trend as of right now. So, and there's no indication. Again, this is a small indication. One sign that is not really in confluence with what the RSI stochastic is saying. Look at the red volume above the exponential for the last 2 months, signaling that huge sell-off, especially this one here, followed by another red candle with enough volume to go with it. There's definite conviction in the bears here that are driving the price of Bitcoin down. So keep that in mind. This is a downtrend. We're still in a downtrend until told otherwise. The trend is your friend. Use that to your advantage, any way, shape, or form. Let's go back to the daily here. Actually, not what I'm looking for. Let's actually go into the lower time frames to see what they're saying. Again, for that possible scalp, as we were just saying, it is likely. Again, we did retest the bottom area support here, right where the 377 is coming in at. That's not the 377. I'm sorry. Yeah, it is the 377. So right where the 377 is coming in at, and this bottom area of ascending support, we did retest it. So it's very likely. I mean, look, there's obviously this demand zone is obviously working because we do see the wick into it, but then a major opportunity there to buy up the price. And look at that, it got bought up right away, and we ended up on the 1 hour. We ended up with a hammer candle. That again is indicative of a reversal, right? It doesn't mean it's going to go that way. It's not 100% foolproof, but it is indicative of a reversal that could be coming. From the 1 hour standpoint, we definitely want to get above the 200 there, start climbing up this way if we are to find that this move is definite. Look at this green candle here. We also ended above the exponential here, so that gave us a definite confirmation that hey, look, there might be a reversal coming. From a stochastic standpoint, though, not really convinced. It does look like it's flattening out here, so a little bit more sideways before we actually find our way back up to higher prices. All right, so that's on the 1 hour. Let's actually look at the 2 hour. Yeah, 2 hours also signaling a reversal. I like the way this is looking. Again, that wick in there. 2 hour looks pretty bottomish, like it touched bottom and now it's trying to get back into the neutral control zone. We do have the flip of the green over the orange there. This candle, I do want to see this stay in the green and get above the exponential here. That's what I'm looking for there. Let's go to the 3 hour real quick. It is looking also like it's bottomed out here for the short term, and actually looking to make a move into the upwards or back into the edge of the bear control and into the neutral zone. All right. Okay, so that's in a nutshell. That's kind of what's going on. Let's go to a 4 hour, and then we'll move on to alts. All right. Let's actually get into a little bit of traditional markets before we do go into alt. All right. So it does look on the 4 hour. It does look like it's trying to turn around. This is again inverted hammer, looking like it does want to signal that as well. Again, want to see these green candles get above the exponential here on the volume indicator, and if we do, again, that's also another good positive sign that we are probably going to head upwards here. All right, so let's actually get into traditional markets. We start to see a correction there. That is something that I was talking to you guys on my last video. It does look like traditional markets were pretty much ready to top off, or we're pretty darn close to it. We do see with the opening of the market today that we are starting to have that correction. If we lose that 20, that 21 here, definitely we're going to come back down to these levels here around, call it 31.90, and then we'll see from there. But that looks like, again, if we lose at 21 tomorrow, it does look like we want to come back down to retest the 30. And now, just food for thought, right? Because these are non-correlated assets, right? Traditional markets, and the S&P is a big significance or a big indicator of traditional markets as a whole, right? Whatever you see in the S&P, you're probably going to see on the Nasdaq. You're probably going to see on a lot of stocks, a lot of individual stocks. So this is very representative of traditional markets, right? And they're definitely in an uptrend, while Bitcoin has been on a downtrend. Now, again, I say this because, food for thought. In the past, we've shown, or markets have shown, to have an inverse correlation. So when one's doing well, the other one's not, which is what we're seeing here with Bitcoin, right? We do see Bitcoin in a downtrend. We have traditional markets in an uptrend. Definite bear versus bull markets, right? We have the opposite in both. Again, it's looking to top off. Hopefully, we start a nice correction. By that I mean, let's get back into these lower levels. Let's retest this pivot low here around 3,000 even, and see from there, right? If we actually continue to break down below it, then quite possibly, getting below the 200, that would probably signify that we are the traditional markets are actually turning around and having a long-term correction. We're still far from that. This is just a slight correction, I know, but just food for thought, or something for you guys to be aware of. If we turn around and come back and go to 3,300, then just forget everything that I just mentioned here right now. Just everything goes by the wayside. Just a little retest of the 21 and onwards. Which I did say we probably will have a definite correction, definitely by before the end of first quarter 2020. I am looking for that. Because again, look at how extended this run has been. We did come back down here and retest the bottom of the neutral zone, but ultimately had a super bounce there and just went on to have all-time highs repeatedly after that. All right, so gold again is going to look like a better hedge every time. It does look like it wants to break out. Look, it's facing just recent resistance here. This is a heavy resistance lines that it's battling. If gold doesn't open up above this line here, let's actually get one of our resistance lines right here, right there. So we have that double line. Right? Price action just ended there, but if we can get above this area here tomorrow, then gold is probably set to have a nice little breakout, and the SPY is probably going to continue downward. All right, so look for those. Again, just food for thought. Let's get on to XRP. Nice to see that XRP is holding again this area of demand, and it's trading above it currently. We're still looking at the 4-hour, although this is not really. Yeah, it is indicative sort of a gradual maybe upturn, right, or a reversal here. We might come back and retest 19.85. So that's on the 4-hour. I don't like the volume signature on there, though. It does look lackluster. It does look like there's nobody trading it. On the daily, not even a full retest of this 21 here, so it's looking pretty weak. I don't know. I mean, this might still be sideways bound for a while, right? So not something that's going to offer the most opportunity there. Let's look at Link real quick, starting with the daily. As long as we don't lose 1.78, there's room to go upwards. The RSI is trending up while the price is trending down. Not a good sign. There could be some bearish divergence there building. It's too soon to tell, though. It's on the daily. But that's kind of what I'm thinking at the current moment. That's on a daily. Let's actually look at the 4-hour, and then we'll get onto other alts. That's the 3-hour. 3-hour is kind of signaling a reversal here. Not a strong one, but kind of signaling a reversal here on the 3-hour, 4-hour. Yeah, it's a weak signal. I wouldn't take that. I wouldn't take that. It's kind of a weak signal until we get the cross on the RSI and get above the bearish control zone and into the neutral zone. Start climbing up towards the 21. I'm not going to get even serious about this. There's other things doing more important, more interesting things. So let's actually get into our previous calls with XLM. I told you guys the XLM chart was looking like it wanted to turn around and was offering a promising short-term trade. And so I gave you guys the signal on Twitter. Follow me on Twitter at TheRealShaw256 if you want. And this is all free stuff, right? I'm not charging anybody for any of this stuff, right? So we did see this descending line of resistance, and as soon as we saw that this was getting above, consolidating within the demand zone, and then climbing above it and getting above this area of resistance, then we called for a move to the upside. It quickly fizzled out, but it was good enough for a scalp. So what was the total there? About 4.15%. So I mean it's not a terrible trade. Hopefully you guys were paying attention. Definitely did lose. Did retest to 89 here and lost it. Was clearly rejected on the 4-hour. I do most of my trades, if you haven't noticed, are on the 4-hour. I just find that has enough weight on it that I can trust it to be true a lot of times. All right, so again, we signaled XLM and VET for you guys. Let's look at VET. This one, I thought it was going to be a little better. Retest of the 200, lost it. This was a huge area because this was at one point, this was a back here, this was a it formulated a demand zone, but then it lost it, and it's now acting as resistance, right? We flipped that support into resistance. We did get above it here, and that was a nice trade all throughout this bottom here, and then we found that there was a little bit of resistance here building up, and gave you guys the call from this point here, from the breakout point to the top of this is another 4.5%. Not too bad. Again, I did honestly think that it would have a little bit more on it, especially since Bitcoin was also on a bounce. But again, being rejected off of this now supply zone, right? So people are going to sell off here. All right. And we are actually walking it back down. So hopefully you got in on a little scalp. I actually told you guys that there's an opportunity for a scalp there. Hopefully you guys were paying attention and actually took advantage of that. Let's actually look now onto EOS. Brian Morton asked for a quick little analysis on EOS. I do like that it's flipped this area of previous resistance. I do like that it flipped it. It's now acting at support. So from that standpoint, I do think it wasn't a retest, kind of. I mean, close enough to a retest of this bottom area of resistance. It's now acting as support. So let's actually switch that over to a green, so we know that is now an area of support. If we lose it, then you know what that means. Time for lower lows, or just low to set in a lower pivot. All right. So right at this current moment, looking at the 4-hour. Not quite signaling a reversal here just on the candle reading on its own, but the stochastic is telling us that there could be a nice move to continue upwards. We're sort of on the short-term upward trend, upward channel here. If we look at the daily, let's see how that looks from a daily standpoint. Not so much. It just looks like maybe just a well, it kind of looks like a descending wedge there, might be. Kind of sort of like that. I mean, there's not enough, swings. There's not enough volatility here to really tell. But I mean, you can kind of tell that it's working, right? You kind of tell that this is kind of what's going on. So it's definitely getting ready to be squeezed. Another way you can look at it from a daily standpoint is something that I don't usually do, but when I see this, I'm not too convinced. I will also try on a different indicator called the Bollinger Bands, and let's see what the Bollinger Bands are telling us. There's definitely a squeeze coming. It is trading above the exponential, the middle exponential here within the Bollinger Bands. So I mean, it is getting squeezed in between those two. Um, See the top area of resistance matching up with the top band of the Bollinger Band. So from what we can gather here is we're kind of looking good, right? Because again, we're above that middle exponential, usually a 20 or 21 within the Bollinger Bands, and it is matching up with our 21 here as well. So it's probably a 20. Yeah, it's slightly below. So probably a 20 um, exponential there within the Bollinger Bands. We can actually look at it if you want. Yeah, they're using a 20. See, so that's just the default. So being the fact that we're above the 21, we're above the 20 here within the Bollinger Bands. Retest of this area daily is looking pretty topish though. So I mean, it looks like it. And do we have a flip on the daily? We do have a flip on the daily. All right. So yeah, from a daily standpoint, which carries a lot more weight in my mind, EOS is getting ready to come back down. Whether this area of support holds, it'll remain to be seen. But most likely, we're probably going to come back down and at least from a Bollinger Band standpoint, come back to $2.30, or at least have a close retest of this area here. That's kind of what things are signaling for the shorter term. So if you're in a current trade, but maybe you enter down here, it's definitely time to take some profits here. Definitely time. It doesn't mean that you have to take all of your position there, 100% take it out. But if this 21 and this area of ascending support do not hold up, then it is time to abandon ship and look for other opportunities. Long term, just from a not so good. Not so good. But I mean, what we can gather from this is that we've reached the bottom again. A definite retest down here of the bottom. So we can only, if this is the true bottom, we can only go up from here, right? So that is long term, not financial advice. Kind of long term. We don't have enough information on this to really call anything. That's on the monthly chart. Let's look at the weekly and see if the weekly says anything different. Yeah, I mean, got pretty bullish, got bearish. Is it time? Yeah, I mean, it's. I mean, I can sit here and tell you that it's going to correct all day long, but there's just not enough information to really call it. From a weekly standpoint, it is looking pretty bearish here, and it does look like it. Definitely retest the bottom of this. If we can get above the 21 again and the 20, it's probably likely that from a weekly perspective, we do come back and retest the top area where the 55 is, and the top of the Bollinger channel is coming in at around 4.10. But that's going to take at least a couple of weeks to maybe a month, unless Bitcoin does decide to go on a massive run. Then that will be something to overrule everything. We're looking at Tezos. So hopefully that helped you out a little bit there, Mr. Morton. Let me know down below if if that's what you were looking for, or if you have any further questions. Same goes for everyone else. If you guys want me to look at something different, let me know. Let's actually get rid of this. It's looking a little cluttered. Let's actually get rid of some of these. All right. So looking at Tezos on a 2-hour. 2-hour is looking pretty weak, signaling still a further correction downward. It is trying to build sort of this upward price action. However, that could also end up playing out like a bear flag. Let's look at the 3-hour. Yeah, 3 hour kind of same thing. Income flowing to the 2 hour. Let's get the 4 hour. Pretty flat. Do we get a rejection off? Not across yet, but definitely wants to come back and retest the 21 there. Some more sideways for the time being. Not really sure where this one's going to go, to be honest. It is trading below the 21, so as long as we're below the 21, that's kind of where things are going to be, pretty much sideways. And as long as the 377 holds down here at 129, then Teslas can still be alive. But other than that, there's just not a lot of strength in any which direction. All right, guys, so I think that's enough for today. Hopefully you got something out of this video tonight in exchange for your time. Again, please follow me on Twitter, TheRealShaw256, and leave it down in the comments below. Let me know if you guys want me to do something or look at a certain stock or coin. All right, we'll see you guys on the next one. The Real Shaw 256. This was Evening Crypto.